From Chicago, Illinois, this is ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Welcome to Eyewitness News on ABC Channel 7. I'm John Rubin, your anchor for this morning's headlines. We start today off with some breaking news coming out of downtown Chicago. Several phone providers in the city have a joint statement together saying that their cellular SIM services and landline systems are experiencing major malfunctions at this time. At the moment, we know of nothing to the cause of these technical difficulties, but we do have some information regarding this situation. In the city right now is correspondent Atkins Waltzer, who has some more information to give us about these malfunctions. Atkins, are you there?
John, I hear you loud and clear. I'm currently in the downtown section of Chicago where rush hour has indeed gotten heavy. There are cars everywhere and finding a spot to park in was almost pointless. Also, if you listen closely, you can hear people confused and also complaining about their mobile data services being rendered useless. Just a few minutes ago, multiple phone providers including Comcast, AT&T, T-Mobile, and Boost Mobile have all released joint statements saying that their landline systems and cellular services have experienced technical problems that are rendering their phone and messaging services inert. I have been getting word that all of these providers are working as fast and as hard as they can to track the source and fix it, but so far we have not gotten any word of their progress. With me is an eyewitness under T-Mobile who has an account of how he witnessed it occur beforehand. Alright, so Jackson, can you tell us how you saw the cellular malfunctions happen?
Sure thing, Atkins. I was walking my usual route to the hardware store, not too far away from here, so I could begin my weekday shift. Now, during that walk, I was on a phone call with my wife, who wanted me to do a run of groceries before I got back home. But before she could finish telling me what was on her list, her voice cut out. I looked at my phone and it showed a message saying something like, your SIM card could not connect to your cellular provider. And then seconds later, I hear people around me complaining about the same thing. I think you probably told everyone on TV the rest of the story. That's all I gotta say.
Thanks, Jackson. Now, as I said to y'all just a minute or two ago, the landline systems were having some issues as well. People around me have been voicing their concerns that this could render the 911 emergency number unavailable. The Chicago Police Department has not commented on the malfunctions yet, but they have stated that they are investigating the landlines to see if there are any issues in the system. I don't have anything else to report here, so John, I'm going to bring it back right to you.
Thank you, Atkins. In other technology news, the Duo Ego Corporation has announced that their quarterly earnings from the winter season has been very positive compared to last year's, thanks to the increasing popularity around their newest game, Rude Awakening, which they claim is an amalgamation of fighting game mechanics taken from other notable franchises and a love letter to arcade games of the 1990s. The popularity of the game stems from two things: a recent fighting game tournament that featured Rude Awakening as part of their card, with tournament regular Lewis LJN Newman defeating internet celebrity Alan Smithy, yes, that is indeed his name, in the grand
The civil authorities have issued a 911 telephone outage emergency for the following counties or areas. Cook Isle, beginning at 7:30 a.m. and ending at 12 o'clock a.m. The following message is transmitted at the request of the Chicago Police Department. Multiple cellular providers have released a statement saying that their landline systems and cellular services are experiencing major malfunctions at this time. These malfunctions, along with multiple calls regarding the malfunctions overwhelming the 911 call center, are affecting the 911 telephone system, which could jeopardize callers that have a legitimate emergency that requires medical attention. If you have an emergency, please head to the police department nearest your location. It is unknown how long this outage will last. At this time, all residents in Chicago and surrounding areas should continue to stick to their daily routine, as there is no current threat to the public as of 7:32 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. A message will be sent out once the lines are deemed operational again. Stay tuned to this channel or your favorite news source for further updates on this outage.
Welcome back to Eyewitness News. As always, I'm John Rubin. We have received an update on the landline and cellular outages situation that occurred earlier this morning. More providers have been announcing that their systems are beginning to malfunction as well. Atkins is once again on the scene in downtown Chicago. Atkins, hey, are you still there?
I haven't gone anywhere, Johnny. As you can see, me and my crew are currently at the headquarters of local startup cellular service company Gravina Wireless. There isn't really any panic going around, but there is a lot of stress going across the building as everyone is working hard to figure out what is causing the source of the landline and cellular outages, which has not yet been identified. In addition, we've been getting information from other cellular providers that their services have stopped too, including Verizon, Boost Mobile, and the aforementioned Gravina Wireless. We are here with the CEO, Cynthia Gravina, who has her own eyewitness views of the situation. Alright, so Cynthia, what can you tell us about what's going on at the headquarters for Gravina Wireless?
Well, Atkins, I had gotten word earlier this morning from one of our technicians that there were several landline and cellular services out for a couple of major providers. The good news is that didn't affect us initially because we're strictly a cellular provider. However, just a few minutes ago, I was informed by one of my advisors that now we are facing malfunctions in our cellular services just like the other providers. At the moment, I don't know why it's happening or how it even occurred. But what I have been told by my ethics team is that this could most likely be as the result of a cyber attack on our network. Some of my friends working for other cellular providers have told me that their higher ups are complaining that this supposed breach is a problem in their networks too. Okay, that's all I got to say.
Thank you, Ms. Gravina. At the moment, the other providers have stated that they have not yet fixed the problem on their own end. I don't have anything else to share with you as well, so...
Because of the obvious threat to untold numbers of citizens, and because of the crisis which is even now developing, this radio station will remain on the air day and night. This station and hundreds of other radio and TV stations throughout this part of the country.
This is Brian Dahl of Illinois State Emergency Management. This is a follow-up message to the previous emergency broadcast issued at 7:30 a.m. this morning. The malfunctions in the landline and cellular systems has spread across the entire state of Illinois. The 911 telephone system remains down at this time. Again, the 911 telephone system is still down. A new batch of cellular providers have been announcing that their servers have faced malfunctions as well. These providers have all claimed this to be a breach in their system. The previous providers have also stated that their networks and landline systems have still yet to be fixed. Again, if you have an emergency that requires intervention from local or medical authorities, get in touch with the nearest police department or medical center. There is still no threat to the public as of this moment, so we ask that all residents in the state of Illinois keep to their regular routine. Stay tuned to this station for further updates the moment it becomes available. To summarize, the 911 telephone system is down, and it could be as a result of a breach in the landline system. Emergency management out.
States The only advice our reporters have been able to get from official sources is for private citizens to stay in their homes behind locked doors. Do not venture outside for any reason until the nature of this crisis has been determined and until we can advise what course of action to take. Keep listening to radio and TV for any special instructions as this crisis develops further.
The following message is transmitted at the request of the Chicago Police Department, along with Illinois State Emergency Management and the Federal Emergency Management Agency. The malfunctions in landline and cellular services has spread into states outside of Illinois. They include Indiana, Kentucky, Michigan, Missouri, Iowa, and Wisconsin. In addition, the Federal Communications Commission has made the recent discovery that the malfunctions in both cellular services and landline systems are, in fact, the result of a cyber attack on both systems. Cellular providers and customers around the city have been reporting a loud static sound coming from their devices. Reports also claim they heard a voice that said, quote, "Chicago faces a nuclear winter." These types of threats are not taken lightly. The Illinois State Emergency Management has not yet confirmed if this is a legitimate threat or a scare tactic performed by the breachers. In addition, the perpetrators of the cyber attack have not been identified as of this message. Because of this, all residents in the state of Illinois and surrounding areas should remain vigilant at this time. If you do believe the threat to be legitimate, you may shelter in place. To shelter in place, go inside. Close and lock all windows and doors. Turn off all heating and air conditioning units. Close all fireplaces. Seal all cracks on windows and doors with tape or damp towels. Go into the centermost room of your residence. Ensure you have food, water, clothing, medical supplies, a flashlight, and a battery-powered radio with you in your shelter area. Repeating, the malfunctions in landline and cellular services in the state of Illinois have spread into the states of Indiana, Kentucky, Michigan, Missouri, Iowa, and Wisconsin. Remain vigilant at this time.
This is not a test. I say again, this is not a test. Please stand by for a message from a representative of the President.
Good afternoon. I'm a representative of the President, as he is currently busy doing a meeting with the Chief of Staff at this time. As of 3:12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the President has authorized me to issue the following statement. My fellow Americans, this is one of the many moments I feared the most when it came to be running this great nation, nuclear conflict. About 8 hours ago, cellular providers and landline operators in the state of Illinois reported that their systems were experiencing malfunctions in the city of Chicago and were rendered useless. Around 4 hours ago, the Federal Communications Commission launched an investigation into these breaches and confirmed that these landlines and cellular providers were the targets of a cyber attack. Just a few minutes ago, the Federal Communications Commission announced that this was done by a cyber terrorist organization known as Group Order 626. In addition, it was also confirmed that this group originates from Russia, although the exact location is not yet known. Our military forces are working on determining if Group Order 626 has access to this nuclear weaponry. I know this may sound like a warning sign that we could be on the brink of nuclear war, but I kindly ask that all understand. Yes, our rivalry with Russia spans what feels like eons to many of you, but please trust me when I say, the Russian Federation is not the one threatening us with nuclear weaponry. At least that's not what it looks like. Russia has not yet commented on the situation, nor have they established important communications with me or my advisors regarding this situation. We may indeed be nearing a time of crisis, but understand that something will always be here to push us through. Hope. Every time a war happens, homes are destroyed, lives are lost, and scars are left on nations. Yet the little thing called hope is the device that drives everyone to victory, even in the face of defeat. I ask that all pray for the best-case scenario. Should we receive a swift support response from the Russian Federation, the chances of us facing nuclear winter in America would, in every regard, become zero. That is all I am authorized to say at this time. Thank you, and good night.
That was a message from a representative of the President. All television and radio stations may now resume regular programming.
So, there's no confirmation on whether or not they have access to nuclear weapons or not. Alright, get back to me the moment you do. What in the hell am I supposed to do with all this missile drama?
Mr. President?
What is it, Ramsey?
We got a letter addressed to you from the Kremlin in Moscow.
The Kremlin? I thought they would have just emailed me. Like, look, we have all these big computers in the office designed specifically for the Washington-Moscow hotline. And yet they just end up sending me a letter of all things. Just hand me the letter, please.
With pleasure, Mr. President.
Hello, Mr. President. I hope this letter finds you well. My name is Dmitry Arman, head of the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation. Just to confirm my identity to you, I've attached a self-photograph. President Ava has been monitoring the situation in your country closely and has voiced her concerns about the potential of an unwanted nuclear crisis occurring as well. We have been receiving intelligence from our friends in the FSR confirming that this Group Order 626 indeed has access to certain nuclear silos across Russia. Them having the ability to launch a nuclear strike, we cannot entirely confirm, but we do believe this to be true as well. That is why we are sending you this letter as opposed to emailing you. We fear that the terrorist group could have been capable of going beyond a cell phone cyber attack. You have the full support of the Russian Federation should Group Order 626 indeed attack your nation at any point. We ensure that there will be retribution done in the name of your nation. Sincerely, Dmitry Arman, head of the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation.
So the Russians are trying to help us out against these cyber terrorists?
I suppose so, but I'm still quite suspicious of this. Historians everywhere say we've had a constant rivalry with the Russians. Make sure they're telling the truth. Get on the hotline and confirm they're not lying about the letter.
Got it.
Well, it's good knowing that the Russians indeed actually want to help.
Indeed. Once a better rival, now starting to look like a close ally.
I just want to understand how in the world does that cyber terrorist group have access?
Emergency situation unfolding right
You're
now.
kidding me, right?
All right, slow down, Henderson. What's going on?
We're under attack, sir. NORAD just picked up the launch of several
Of course.
missiles from Russia.
I'm assuming that this is Group Order 626 is doing, right?
I think so, Mr. President.
All right, Henderson, get with the FCC, alert the nation of the attack.
Yes, sir.
Ramsey, get in touch with the Kremlin and let them know we need their help ASAP.
On it now, Mr. President.
I'll get ready to speak with the nation.
We haven't heard anything from the White House since that last alert message, although they have been advising everyone to remain vigilant for the time being. For our friends in Chicago, do stay safe because I too am a little scared. Wait, what the hell? Oh shit. Alright listeners, from WMBR, this is an important message. Please stand by. No! This can't be happening. Alright. Calm down. Push yourself. Stay calm. We now interrupt regular programs on MVR. This is a national emergency.
This is a national emergency message. All broadcast stations and cable systems shall transmit this national emergency message. This station has interrupted its regular programming at the request of the White House to participate in the emergency alert system. During this emergency, most stations will remain on the air providing news and information to the public in assigned areas. This is WMVR. We will continue to serve the New York City metropolitan area. If you are not in this local area, you should tune to stations providing news and information for your local area. You are listening to the emergency alert system serving the New York City metropolitan area. Do not use your telephone. The telephone line should be kept open for emergency use. The emergency alert system has been activated. We interrupt our programming at the request of the White House. This is the emergency alert system. All normal programming has been discontinued during this emergency. This is WMVR. This station will continue furnishing news, official information, and instructions for the New York City metropolitan area. If you are not in the New York City metropolitan area, you should tune to stations providing news and information to your local area. It is important to listen carefully to announcements from the stations in your local area. We interrupt our programming at the request of the White House. This is the emergency alert system. All normal programming has been discontinued during this emergency. This is WMVR. This station will continue furnishing news, official information, and instructions for the New York City. The following message is transmitted at the request of the United States government. This is not a test. I say again, this is not a test. At approximately 4:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the North American Aerospace Defense Command was tracking the launch of multiple missiles, all confirmed to have originated from Russia. It was confirmed that these missiles are headed towards the United States, although the exact targets and estimated times of impact are not yet known. In addition, it is believed that these missiles may be nuclear in nature. This is an attack warning. I say again, this is an attack warning. Attack warning means that an actual attack against this country has been detected, and that protective action should be taken immediately. All residents in the United States, seek a fallout shelter immediately. Fallout is a byproduct of nuclear explosions. Prolonged exposure to fallout carries fatal consequences. If you cannot find a fallout shelter, local authorities will lead you to one. If there are no fallout shelters in your area, take cover in the lowest and centermost place of your residence. Remember to bring all essential supplies with you to the fallout shelter, such as non-perishable food, water, clothing, medical supplies, a flashlight, and a battery-powered radio with you to the shelter. Do not leave the shelter until the all-clear is given by the proper authorities. The President and/or his designated representative will be speaking on all stations shortly. Stand by for this message. We interrupt our programming at the request of the White House. This is the emergency alert system. All normal programming has been discontinued during this emergency. This is WMVR. This station will continue furnishing news, official information, and instructions for the New York City metropolitan area. If you are not in the New York City metropolitan area, you should tune to stations providing news and information to your local area. It is important to listen carefully to announcements from the stations in your local area. We interrupt our programming at the request of the White House. This is the emergency alert system. All normal programming has been discontinued during this emergency. This is WMVR. This station will continue furnishing news, official information, and instructions for the New York City metropolitan area. If you are not in the New York City metropolitan area, you should tune to stations providing news and information to your local area. It is important to listen carefully to announcements from the stations in your local area.
I would like to remind everyone again that this is a very serious situation, that this should not be taken as a hoax. Okay. Looks like I'm starting to get some new information from my producer regarding the missile attacks in the United States. NORAD had just identified the cities targeted by these attacks as Los Angeles in California, New York City, New York, Washington D.C., Miami in Florida, Seattle in Washington, Boston in Massachusetts, Dallas and Houston in Texas, Portland in Oregon, St. Louis in Missouri, and then Chicago in Illinois. It doesn't matter if you live outside of these areas, you should still take cover in the nearest fallout shelter available to you. There could be more missiles on that way that NORAD has not picked up yet. These major populated centers confirmed as targets are all I know as the targets this Group Order 626 are attempting to destroy. Let me recap what happened this afternoon, all the way up to now, for those that are just tuning in. This nation is being attacked with nuclear missiles by a terrorist group located in Russia that was responsible for a cyber attack on Chicago earlier this morning. Both the United States and Russia, along with many other countries that have ties to NATO, have openly denounced these attacks. President Lyubov of the Russian Federation has confirmed that there will be extensive foreign aid sent to the United States once the strikes have passed and when it's deemed safe. During an emergency meeting that was set up following the launch of the attack, Ava mentioned that both Russia's Ministry of Defense and Group Order 626, the terrorist group that launched the attacks, were fighting intensely for control over their country's nuclear arsenal. In addition to all that, both NORAD and the Russian Aerospace Defense Forces are working together to try and get these missiles shot down before they reach their targets. So far, they haven't been able to get any of them. That is all the information I have regarding the attack. So while I'm still here, I'm gonna go over how to construct a basic function in your home if you decide to stay where you are if you haven't gone to any government shelter or emergency center. Okay, so here's how you do it. First, ensure you and all other occupants in your home are in the lowest and centermost part of your house. Second, grab as many large and sturdy objects as you physically can. You might need someone to help lift certain objects. Do not use anything that is flammable, wood included. Third, use those objects to construct a hideout capable of holding you and everyone in the house. Make sure the entrance is as small as you can possibly make it. And lastly, once you've constructed the hideout, get everyone inside and make sure you have all the supplies needed to last you and everyone in that shelter for at least 2 weeks. Right. Okay, it looks like we're just getting some new information. This is just in, and it appears to be good. Yes. So, according to NORAD and the RADF, 3 of the missiles that were inbound to the United States were successfully shot down just a few minutes ago. Specifically, the ones that were headed towards Washington, D.C., New York City, and San Francisco. Both aerospace forces are still trying to shoot down the other missiles, but for now, this means that the threat of major casualties among population centers is starting to diminish. The OEMVR, as you're all aware, is broadcasted from the heart of New York City. And because the missile headed to New York City was shot down, this means the risk of the station going off air during the strikes has been reduced by a drastic amount. This doesn't mean that we're allowed to exit emergency programming yet. But for now, all the MVR listeners in the state can have a well-deserved sigh of relief. Do be mindful that New York Emergency Management has not called an all-clear yet, meaning you should continue to stay in your fallout shelter if you're already in one. The possibility of Group Order 626 doing a second attempt exists, and there's still a chance of fallout entering the state of New York once the missiles hit other locations. The fallout aspect all depends on the direction of the wind. NORAD hasn't determined the potential direction fallout could head, but they're working with multiple National Weather Service offices across the country to determine where it could head should the missiles, if any, strike anywhere in the country.
Let me remind everyone of what to do if Fallout manages to get onto your clothes or skin. If at any time Fallout gets onto you, do not panic. The main thing you need to do is rinse your entire body in clean water. Gently clean your body because the fallout may result in your skin becoming very sensitive and may be prone to peeling easily. It's important that you do not use the city's water because it will be contaminated with radioactive material once the missiles detonate over Chicago. Once you have finished cleansing yourself, put on a new set of clothes and then put the old clothes in a bag as far away from you and the other occupants in the shelter.
Felix, we need to be in our fallout shelter soon.
Are the missiles closing in on Chicago?
Why else would I say that? They're like literally a couple minutes away from impact.
Alright, let me just sign off the network first.
Okay, I'll meet you downstairs.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, at this time we're now going to go off the air so we can both conserve power and get to shelter quickly. We'll check in with all of you listening to WLS once the missiles have impacted. If you don't hear an all clear from the authorities, wait 3 to 5 weeks after the missiles have impacted before leaving your shelter. From 890 WLS AM, this is DJ Felix, signing off.
The following message is transmitted at the request of the Illinois Emergency Management Agency. Nuclear missiles are about to hit their targets. Impacts are expected to begin within the next 2 to 15 minutes. The missiles that were inbound for New York City, New York, Washington, D.C., and Los Angeles, California, were shot down, reducing the amount of missiles inbound to 7. The remaining missiles are inbound for the following cities: Miami, Florida, Seattle, Washington, Boston, Massachusetts, Dallas, Texas, Houston, Texas, Portland, Oregon, St. Louis, Missouri, and Chicago, Illinois. Prepare now for nuclear explosions. Prepare now for the four effects of a nuclear explosion, which are intense light, intense heat, the shockwave blast, and the fallout that would arise following a nuclear explosion. Make sure you have non-perishable food, water, clothing, medical supplies, a flashlight, and a battery-powered radio with you to last 3 weeks. If you are outside, get inside a sturdy building immediately, and go into its centermost and secure interior. If you cannot find shelter, and are stuck outside during impact, cross your legs, lie on your stomach, and cover your head. All government shelters and emergency centers are ordered to close doors now. I say again, all government shelters and emergency centers are to close their doors now. In addition, your city may also be declaring martial law in and around your city or state. If so, lethal force is authorized for in the event you break the law. This is WSBC. This station will cease transmission after the alert. You should now tune to 890 on the AM band. This station will continue to provide information for all of Chicago and surrounding cities once the strikes have finished. This station will now cease transmission.